There's a very good reason that printed on the cover of The Truth by Terry Pratchett is a banner that says the 25th Discworld book. Apart from the fact that it's the 25th Discworld book, this is very much the turning point for the Discworld in many ways. My name is Mark, this is The Book Thing, and this is my review of The Truth by Terry Pratchett. So very much in the vein of moving pictures or soul music, this is one of those Discworld books that is about the concept of what if the Discworld had ... And in this case, the question is, what if the Discworld had a newspaper? So the story follows the character of William de Worde, who is an educated scribe who ekes out a living in Ankh-Morpork by writing letters of the latest news and sending them to dignitaries around the Discworld. You know, he'll write these letters that describe bits of rumour and news, and he will send them off once every couple of months, and he will get £5 back for doing that. When he completes one of these letters, he pays an engraver to etch it onto a plate and make 5 copies and send it off to these dignitaries, and then he gets his money back. But one day, having just received one of these plates, he gets into an accident with a bunch of dwarves with a large cart, and they manage to destroy his engraving plate. And it turns out what the dwarves actually had on that cart was supplies for a printing press. And when they redo the letter for him on their movable type printing press, an opportunity opens up for both of them, where instead of sending one letter to 5 people for £5 once a month, they could send a letter out to the entire city, which people could buy for a penny and get a new one every single day. They call it Ankh-Morpork Items, but then someone mixes up the type and it becomes the Ankh-Morpork Times, and it becomes the Discworld's first newspaper. This is set against the backdrop of the usual plot that is going on in Ankh-Morpork to overthrow the patrician Lord Vetinari, this time being carried out by a group of shadowy individuals in the background who have employed the services of the very, very scary Mr. Tulip and Mr. Pin, 2 characters who are reminiscent of the sort of characters that would have been in the cinemas in the 1990s when this was written, specifically in the cinemas from filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino. By the way, I'm currently rereading the entirety of the Discworld. I am up to number 25 now. If you'd like to see any more of these videos, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. So what we've got is a standard Discworld story that is about the building up of this new enterprise. But where this differs very, very greatly from any of those stories that have come before. Previously, what's happened in something like soul music or moving pictures is a new enterprise is discovered, or a new piece of technology from our world comes into the Discworld, and it usually taps into some sort of primal magic or knocks on the walls of reality or whatever it happens to be. But generally what it means is it is going to destroy the world. And in order for the world not to be destroyed, at the end, that new enterprise doesn't exist in the disc anymore. This is where the truth is different, because the newspaper, not only is it not a existential threat to the Discworld, but it is something that is going to continue long after the book, The Truth, has finished. And this is why it's such a turning point, because Terry Pratchett uses The Truth kind of as a template for when he starts to move into some of his other stories around the modernization of the Discworld that we see later on in things like Going Postal and Raising Steam and Making Money. The character work in this is fantastic. William de Worde is quite an interesting character because he develops essentially this reverence for the truth and for news, and he basically comes up with journalistic ethics all on his own. We got Otto, the photographer, who is absolutely fascinated by light, which is quite a challenge, considering anytime there's any bright flash of light, he turns to ash and has to be revived with a drop of blood. And Otto, like Lady Margalotta in The Fifth Elephant, is a member of the Blue Ribbons. He is a teetotaler. He is a vampire who has sworn off blood, and likes to convince himself that what they'd much prefer is a cup of tea and a sing-song. Mr. Pin and Mr. Tulip are suitably terrifying and also quite quirky and weird in the way that they come across. I don't actually want to spoil what they're like because they're best discovering them for yourself. And then you've got the mosaic of the standard Ankh-Morpork people as well. So you've got things like Lord Vetinari, you've got the characters of the Watch, and it's interesting to see how the Watch is perceived from an external perspective. So the Word has this, he's heard the rumour that there is a werewolf in the Watch, and works off this assumption that it's going to be the least human-looking human that's there, so naturally he assumes that Nobby Nobbs is the werewolf. We also get to see Gaspard the Wonder Dog again, and the dregs of the Beggars Guild, such as Duckman and Foul Old Ron, which have been adding colour to a lot of the books, and here really get to shine. And then, of course, there is the ever-present Mr. Cut My Own Throat Dibbler, because whenever there's some sort of enterprise going on in Ankh-Morpork, he's going to be involved in some way or another. The truth was actually the very first Discworld book that I read, and I have to say, it's still to this day a hell of an introduction. Even though it's 25 books in, it's so standalone and it gives you such a great overall view of everything that's happened in the city of Ankh-Morpork that I'd still recommend it as a great starting point for a new reader to the Discworld. There are some references that are coming across that still feel like they're from the turn of the millennium, but aside from that, the whole thing holds up incredibly well. It is still one of my favourite Discworlds, and it's an easy 5-star read for me. So I hope you enjoyed my review of The Truth. The next Discworld book I will be reviewing is the final book in the Death subseries, and that is Thief of Time. So all you can see here for that one. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and take care.